All right, so welcome into today's show. I'm your host, Kurt Mueller, and apologies for my listeners. I lost my voice, or lost most of it during last night's baseball game. My son plays baseball, and they won, so that's a good thing, I guess. But I'm joined on today's show by Pitmaster from Maya Jane Barbecue out of Evans, Georgia. His name is Mark Wetherell. Mark, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Kurt, thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so for our listeners, I got a chance to get connected with Mark actually through social media originally, and then we finally got the chance to meet in person at the Boss Hog Cook-Off on May 13th, 14th down in Waynesboro, Georgia. So for our listeners that are outside of the Augusta area, Evans, Georgia is right across the Savannah River from North Augusta. So we're neighbors, and we're passionate about barbecue, and we're hopefully trying to get some more barbecue in the area.
Yes. Yeah, I hope so.
So let's chat about your name, because I love the name of your team, Maya Jane.
Okay.
What's some background there? How'd you come up with that?
Sure. Well, pretty simple. My daughter's name is Maya Jane. So Jane's a family name. My mom's middle name, my grandma's first name. So it's kind of been in the family. And just quick backstory, she was born in Denver, Colorado. So back in 2006, and just being a new dad at home, and just like, I think I was maybe just starting to experiment with cooking and, barbecuing. I had one of those electric smokers, and just the way the schedules work with my wife and me, I was kind of primary at home. So I was, just the way my schedule works, I was, dropping her off daycare, taking doctor's appointments. So it's just one of those things that she helped me build this first electric smoker. And I was like, if I ever have a team or if I ever do anything, I'm just going to call it Maya Jane. So it just kind of had a good ring to it, and just kind of, kept it.
I love that. There's always a story there. So let's talk about another story. Let's talk about your journey into competition barbecue. How long have you been competing, first of all?
I guess maybe like really hardcore, 2018, 2019, really. I kind of dabbled in some like unsanctioned backyard contests. Are you familiar with Harlan County? They had like a King of the Smoker backyard. I think there was 12, 14 teams. I think they did that, I want to say maybe 2015, 2016. And so I would do that, and actually we won in 2016. I think we were cooking ribs, pork loin, which, I think we've talked about that. And then I want to say chicken or something. And it was fun, but it was one of those things, like, it was a backyard for fun thing. And, we were selling sandwiches for $2. And so it was pretty good they had like a car show and all that stuff. And so I kind of, fell in love with it there a little bit. But I've always kind of been into it, just, whether it was just cooking in the driveway. And at that time I've already built drum smokers. So I was familiar with the Oakley drum smokers, and I built several of those. And then I got my first cabinet smoker, which is a 270 smokers out of Virginia. So I had some new gear I wanted to, kind of show off and cook, and just had fun. And then, as locally we have the Papa Joe's Banjo BBQ.
Yep.
And we decided to, we said, screw it, why not? Let's go in 2016. Let's go try it. I think it was Memorial Day. They had it at the Lady A Park, and my family came out from Denver. So it was like more of those things, like, it was more of a party atmosphere but I was trying to compete, and, I want to be serious, but like I had honestly no idea what I was getting into. I mean, I've cooked brisket, my pork was always good, but it's just doing all four meats at one time. And I was still like an overnight low and slow cook at that point. But, we're sleeping under tents, and, we had a blast. I think we got 11th place pork, tied for 10th, but, we got 11th place. And kind of after that, I was like, man, this is pretty cool. Of course, watching Pitmasters and seeing all these guys, it's like, oh yeah, and then really from there, just, we tried the Boss Hog, and that following spring, 2017. So it was kind of our second contest, and really kind of enjoyed it again. I think we finished middle of the pack. I think, there's like 42, 44 teams. I think we finished like, mid 20s, and went back to banjo again in 2017, just got our butts kicked. Like we were third sheet, 70 teams. I think we were like 60th, and really kind of took a step back. So I kind of reevaluated what I was doing. I was, using just one rub. I was making my own sauce. A lot of kind of no-nos that, you don't do in competition barbecue. You don't say, hey, I'm bringing my sauce. Although it's done well, it's okay, but it's not a consistent product. So I took the summer of 2017, and at the time, a gentleman can't remember his name right now, but he was running the Atlanta barbecue store, not Brian Jarvis, but another guy. So we chatted over email, and he sent me like a whole email of like, here's some sauces to try, what's popular, some rubs. And so I did like R&D literally, and just kind of honed my craft from that whole summer, fall, winter, just practice and practice, and then went back to the Boss Hog and our fourth contest, and we won. So we got a GC. It's like one of those things like, I got lucky. You got to get lucky in this game, as you know, like you got to have some help. And I had no idea what I was getting into. So it was one of those things like I had some success like really early. And then from there, that's, I think when that's when I really got hooked on it. But really I didn't have a truck, didn't have a trailer. Like I borrowed a friend's landscaping trailer, we're sleeping under tents and all that stuff. Yeah. And so really just at that point, we decided, I think we did Greenwood. I don't know if you're going there this year, but it's a hot contest in July. And under tents again, and my dad's like, if we're going to keep doing this, we got to get a trailer, get some air conditioning, get all the elements. And so sure enough, bought a trailer. And of course that led to a truck. It's like, the whole cycle. But it's fun. And it's like, I've just enjoyed it. And it's just, you meet a good community of people, and a lot of them are my good friends. I look forward to them seeing, 12 to 14 times a year, at a contest and stuff. And so it's good. It's a kind of a part of who I am now. Like I'm really, I like it. I like everything about competition barbecue.
So you never, just so I understand, you never cooked backyard, really. You just went straight to the
No,
division, right?
I just went straight pro. And I guess that's why I should have backed up. And when I did banjo in 2016, I was going to sign for the backyard, and they had it there the year before, and they didn't have it this year. So I was like, whatever, I can cook a brisket. So it's like, I think that's really the hang up for a lot of the backyard teams, is just cooking that brisket, or maybe I think it's just chicken and ribs, or, ribs and pork. And so I just kind of jumped in at that point, and just, that's, I don't know. I didn't shy away from it, I guess. I felt comfortable. I've probably messed up so many briskets in my day, but, I figured that's just, it's fun to do. So I just figured, why not just go all in?
So now how many comps are you going to do this year, you think?
Well, as you know, with the current economic climate, it's kind of tough with, gas prices and all that stuff. And I think I did 14 last year, but we had two doubles in Evans. So I was able to kind of get 4 contests here. This year, I will probably hit most of the GBCs, Georgia BBQ Championship, like their circuit. That's kind of, and that really picks up kind of like late summer through the fall. So I'm hoping I can get maybe 10 in, is kind of my plan, but we'll see.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because for our listeners, I get this question a lot. If you've got young kids, you've got a family, you've got a career, don't feel like you have to jump into this pro competition game and do 40, 45 competitions a year.
Yeah.
Yes, there are teams that do that. A lot of them are retired, or, the kids are grown and they're out of the house. So it's just, they're in a different stage of their life.
Yes, that's correct.
And like you said, Mark, with the way gas prices are right now and just the current climate, you talk about doing 40 to 45 competitions a year. I mean, that's some serious investment, both in money and time. So yes. I think, and you tell me what you think about this. So if I'm a backyard guy and I'm looking at going pro, or maybe maybe I just want to get into competition barbecue and I just want to skip the backyard, what's a good number in terms of competitions that they can do in the first year? Is it like 10? My thought would be like 10 to 15.
Well, I mean, I guess, maybe speaking from like a Georgia cook, and I know a lot of backyard guys that are going pro this year. And I think and it's kind of what I did in 2019. So at that point I was like, you know what? So I only did 4. I've only done 4 KCBS. And so my goal in 2019, I was like, I want to cook as many GBC contests as possible. So those are the point chase, and, they have GBC kind of parallels the KCBS tournaments. And so I would recommend doing that, because then, for a fact, there's probably at least 8 to, at the time, I think 8 to 10. And, it's a fun way to kind of get into it. And then there's, like I said, everybody's there. You can ask questions if you're a backyard team looking for help and stuff. But that would be, I think 8 would be a good number, especially if you've never competed before and you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go try this crazy thing. And it's like, you might be done after 1 or 2. I don't know about you, but even with the amenities I have, which is like middle class barbecue with just a, V-nose trailers, nothing special, but Saturday I'm wiped. Like I'm exhausted. And then I know, to turn around and clean and to do it again the next weekend. That's just, I can't even imagine that sometimes. I've done it. It's a pain in the butt. But I think that's a good number. And I would, one of these days, I don't know if I'm going to chase, but I'd like to get to the 20 mark. Cause I know the more you cook, the more consistent you are, but just it's repetition. And I think you're going to do better. And so I think it's one of those, the guys who compete 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, you're going to have limited success, and it could be, it might not be good on the psyche. And it's like, why am I doing this? So you almost need a rhythm, right? You need to cook more to get in a rhythm. If any just brand new team just hopped into it and started cooking 15 to 20, I'd be, good luck to you. And maybe it'll work out, but I think a good number just to get your feet wet and not to give up will probably about, 8.
That's good. That's good feedback. And so Mark's mentioned GBC a couple of times. And for our listeners, that's a Georgia BBQ Championship. And what that is that's the points race for the state of Georgia. So the GBC uses the KCBS, Kansas City Barbecue Society, scoring format, turn-in format, you name it. So it's nice because, for young guys like us, right, that have families and careers and, don't have the triple axle trailer. It's nice because you can actually compete for the state championship and only cook like 8 or so competitions a year.
The best part about it is like 5 contests. It's just your best 5 scores. So you don't feel like, you got to, if you cook all 10 of them, whatever, like it's going to help you, but only your top 5 scores count. So it's just a good way to get people out there and kind of keep them involved. Because being in Georgia, like, if I don't know if you look at I always call it, stat checking on Sunday morning. I go to the KCBS website and check out all the contests and see how some of my buddies did. And just, there's a lot of these contests in the Midwest. And it's just like, I just can't, there's no way I can go to Kansas or Missouri or anything like that and compete. It's tough. So at least, with this GBC, it keeps it fun. And like you said, it's a points chase and, everybody's competitive and having fun. So it keeps us involved, I guess.
Do you see yourself, I know you cook primarily KCBS. Do you see yourself branching out to MBN, IBCA, anything like that?
I don't know. I'd like to be a complete pitmaster and try it someday. And I know we talked about the GBA, and there's a lot of, in South Carolina, obviously you're in South Carolina, but there's the SBNs, like there's a bunch of like different Southern, South Carolina barbecue cooking. And I don't know. If it's something pops up here, I would definitely try it, but I don't know if I'm going to go travel to do one, I guess, out of state.
Yeah, that's the challenge, I think, that a lot of teams are going to face when you first, you can get excited. The competitions are great, but when you factor in, the driving, the fuel cost, et cetera, plus everything else you got to be responsible for when you get back home. Yeah. It's like you said earlier, on Saturday you're wiped and Sunday you're just like, you're just relaxed.
Yeah. And in my trailer, like I sleep in the gravity chair. So it's like, I don't have a bed or mattress or any, all these, amenities that some of these other guys have. So I'm always a Friday mid-morning guy. So I know a lot of people go Thursday night out and have fun and hang out. And it's, occasionally I'll try to do that, but it's like, I can't sleep in my chair more than, really one night. And then if you go Thursday and up staying Saturday, it's like a whole weekend. And so it's like, taxing on me and, we're all getting older and it's like, I don't need to be sleeping in a gravity chair for a weekend, but yeah. And the thing I guess is, like you said about the gas prices and like, there's a contest, is it the honeybee contest in, is it Lafayette? I did Pussyq, a few weekends ago. And I think that trip is shorter than going to like North Georgia. So it's kind of like, but I'll sit in there thinking to myself, because I want to cook, I'm always looking forward to competing. And, if gas was $1.99, I would probably say, no, let's go have some fun. Never been up there before. So I don't know, but it's kind of frustrating. So that's, there's stuff out of our control that's like kind of holding us back. And I just, and this is a hobby, it's a passion, but it's a hobby. But you also, I'm an accountant by trade, I'm a controller. So it's like, I got the dollar signs in my, my head and costs. And I just know it's just not feasible to say, I can do $300 in gas this weekend just to go chase a ribbon. It's just, so I have that in my back of my head as well.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think, again, for the guys and the gals that are looking to get into this competitively, I would say you better plan on between 800 to $1,000 per competition.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, pretty much nowadays, I think entry fees are about $300 to get in. Meat. Now, I cook commodity pork. I've done well with commodity pork. I cook Springer Mountain chicken, so I keep some of my food costs low. Um, and same with the ribs. And now, brisket. Yeah, I have switched to Snake River Gold, so I've been cooking those. But I've cooked Costco primes. I've gotten a handful of calls with Costco primes. So I think you don't have to cook a Wagyu brisket, I guess, all the time. So there is that. So you can go buy $70 brisket, versus a $220 brisket.
Right. Right. That's a great, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I fell into really quickly is you go to these contests and then you start watching these videos and start talking to people, and you automatically get the sense that you have to start buying the Wagyus, the Snake Rivers, the A9s, the chick. I mean, and then all of a sudden you see the meat bill and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And so you have to be careful, right?
Yep.
I mean, you talked about the numbers side of things. You got to be careful, because I don't know how your mind works, but anytime, and I've heard this a ton, is people say, well, you can't make any money doing competition barbecue. And when I hear something like when somebody tells me I can't do something over and over again, I get stubborn, and I'm like, well, maybe I can.
Yeah, and we've done well, and we've made some money, and I sell a lot as well. So pretty much all my comp meat I bring home, and I got neighbors and people on my contact list that they buy everything up. So it's like so pretty much I'm funding all of my contests and a lot of my meats for just selling, right. And it's worked for me, and I just, like I said, and I also I don't know, it's just something like I also, even before I got into competing, everybody, I try to let people try my barbecue. A lot of people like it, so it's like I knew I have a good product and stuff, and so I'm like, you know what, there's a way to come out ahead and not feel like you just wasted a bunch of money and stuff. So I try to like I said, recoup as much cost as possible, and that's it helps.
Have you ever thought about getting into catering or anything like that?
Yeah, we do. We occasionally do. Like I said, we're not really set up to like vend and do a lot of that type of stuff. And but like I'm gonna cater a graduation party this weekend, but it's really just cooking the meat, dropping it off. There you go. Like I'm not doing like full service or anything like that. And if anybody asks, I have plenty of barbecue friends who do it, and I give them their information. But it's like if somebody's like, "Hey, can you cook me a couple of butts?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely," and we'll figure out a cost and stuff and go from there. And but I don't know, maybe it's just it's a lot of work. I mean, it is. It's a lot of work cooking, but it's fun. I enjoy it. But yeah, I don't know, and we'll see. Maybe one day.
So chat about the difference. So one of the other things I've learned is that there's cooking at home, cooking like what you like, and then there's cooking at a competition, and they're two very different things.
Yeah.
So when you're cooking at home, I guess number one, what's your favorite meat to cook at home, not competition?
Just in general, like anything, or just it's kind of weird. I still like cooking pork. I love cooking pork butts. There's just something about it, the way they cook, and whether it's hot and fast or low and slow. I've always have enjoyed. That's kind of where I've started falling in love with barbecue. Since 2006 was cooking a dang pork butt. I just like the way it cooks and the whole process. But really, I mean, we're a big wing guy. We're a wing family. We do a lot of smash burgers, and but it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it feels like whenever have time to cook, I feel like I got to practice. So it's like it's just whether I'm trying something new. So it's just one of those things that it's kind of I don't know. It's like I almost forget how to cook normal food. But it's like I feel like if I could steaks or meat prices are kind of crazy, but if I can get a good steak, I love cooking steak too. But if I have some free time, I'm gonna do a chicken cook. I'm gonna try to do a rib cook. Ribs have been killing me lately, so it's like I'm trying to just figure that out. And I got a lot of neighbors that I test stuff on, and but yeah, I don't know. But we're foodies, my wife and I, and we enjoy going out here and there and stuff. But also, it's always it's more fun to cook at home.
So on the competition circuit, it seems like you're known best for your chicken. In fact, I think at the Boss Hog, you got first in chicken, didn't you?
Yeah.
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 So now, are you cooking thighs or are you cooking drumsticks?
Doing drumsticks.
Okay.
So we've been on a roll, I guess, since last year. And I don't know. I was, doing really well in ribs this time, kind of last year in 2020, we, tied for first in GBC in ribs. And all of a sudden now the tables, I mean, this sport is crazy. Like things just turn and, and not, and it's a lot of it's on me to try to figure out what's going on. But so I tend to my chicken wasn't doing that well in 2020. So I started practicing more on chicken. So it's like,
Yeah.
pork's always going to be there, I think. And then brisket, we've done okay in brisket, but you can't really practice that much with brisket because nobody, it's just expensive. So it's like a lot of my practicing is at a contest. So I just figured, well, chicken's cheap. So let's try, figure out this chicken routine. I finally, settled on some flavors and, brines and a cooking method. I kind of cook all over the place. Sometimes I'll cook it all in the drum. Sometimes I'll cook it on the Rectech, and
Yep.
my process is really the same. And this year I've kind of switched to 100% Rectech, and we've done 4 contests. We've had first place and the 6th place and 11th. So our chicken's been pretty good. I don't know what to tell you. It could change anytime. Like it's just got to ride it while it's hot and just, but it's fun.
And that's something I caught there, which is really important for the listeners, is that you're going to get a lot of opinions about stick burners, pellet
Yeah.
grills, drums. You're going to get thousands of different opinions. And what Mark just said, I think is really important. And that is, you're 100% Rectech now, right? Basically. So
yeah. I mean,
for the most part,
I have 2 drums and 2 Rectechs. So pork and ribs are on the drum, and then I'm doing my brisket and chicken on the 590.
there you go. So
Yeah.
point being is like, don't, if you're listening to the show, don't believe, what you might read that you can't win a pro competition on a pellet grill. It really isn't. The smoker doesn't matter, in my opinion. It's the cooker, chef.
It's how you finish the last 10 minutes. And and I've stumbled on my feet a lot of times, and it's just everything's going great until like you slice that brisket and you're like, dang it. Or you try a piece of chicken or whatnot, but yeah, you're right though. I mean, it's like I try to, I bought an Outlaw stick burner this past fall and been practicing pretty much every weekend with it leading up to our first contest. I love it and enjoy it. It's a great smoker, but logistically it's a haul to move around, and it's like but I'm trying to pride myself in like to be a true pitmaster. I want to be able to cook on anything.
Right.
And so, but at the same time, you're right. I mean, pellet grills, they do well. I mean, Rectex are an awesome cooker, and they definitely have a place in the competition world. And they're a great company, and they've helped me out the last couple years. And I've taught some academy classes there, and it's fun. It's a good time and good people, and so they definitely have a place on the circuit.
Not to mention their, Rectech is right in your backyard.
Yep, right there, 10 minutes away, if that.
That's exactly right. So I know Rectech is one of your main sponsors, and there's a few others out there. I'll give you a chance just to chat about those and let the audience know what you're using with those different sponsors.
Sure. Yeah. So I want to be sponsored by, products I use. And so I've always been a big Butcher barbecue, David, I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but Bosca David. So, you know him from Pitmasters. He's a world champion. Pitmaster, he won Jack Daniel. I mean, he's awesome. And he's a butcher by trade. He knows meats. He knows how proteins work. He knows how his injections and rubs and sauces and flavors go with proteins. And I've always have liked his products. I use them in, I guess 3 of my 4 meats, in some form or fashion. And, and I've chatted with him on email. He's a great guy. And I was, excited when he opened up his, ambassador program and sponsorship program, and I applied and I got it. And I'm, super stoked, super excited. And then Royal Oak's another big one. So they're a charcoal company. So that's one I've tried to get for a couple years now. And I finally got it this past year in 2022. And it's awesome. I mean, because as it's we got to do some postings with them and show that we support the product and a lot of Instagram posts and stuff. But it's nice to have some charcoal and another cost that I don't have to worry about, type of thing. And they've been super nice, and I'm honored to be with them. And Prairie Fresh is another one, so we use a lot of their meats. And so we're on their honor roll, their pit crew honor roll, which is pretty cool. And then of course Rec Tech. So it's pretty neat. So to say 3 years ago I'd be where I'm at now, I'd be like, I don't know. But it's a lot of work. I've worked hard to kind of get where I'm at, and I'm just, want to keep pushing.
That's another, I'm glad you brought that up too, because, for our listeners that are looking to get into this sport, and yes, I call it a sport. I wouldn't say,
it is. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that we're athletes necessarily, but that might be a stretch. But, for those looking to get into it, yes, you got to put in the work, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the practice. It's like anything else. It's like playing football, baseball, basketball.
Got to practice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I try to practice, Saturday and Sunday. And I think what helped a lot, it's kind of weird, is, with COVID, when everybody was shut down in 2020, and I think because nobody could go anywhere. Everything was closed. I mean, so I was like, you know what, I could still find meat, affordable prices. So I was like, I just cooked, and we'd all hang out in the driveway. We'd cook, have neighbors come over, have some beers and just cook and just practice and try different things. And I got new drums at that time. So I was, and I've cooked on drums for a long time, but these were new. So I was like, I'm going to hone these in and really, and just, know these smokers, back and forth and everything. And so that helped me out a lot too. But it's like, and I kind of have a little, I'm a big reader, big fiction reader. And there's this quote that always sticks with me is, how you do anything is how you do everything. So it's like, you have to, don't half-ass a practice. And it's like, if I'm, because if you do, it's like, I'm putting a pork butt on at, 7 a.m. It's like, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever, neighbors come over, hey, let's hang out. And I'm like, well, I got to finish this, because it's like, I got up all the stuff I did the night before, and all the stuff I did today. If I just say, hey, cool, let's go hang out, then it's like, it's all for naught. So it's like, I get, so I try to, when I practice, I really try to focus, and, and even though I'm not building boxes, but I still want to try to hit my money muscle temperatures and, hit tenderness and,
Right.
because I don't get out and cook that much. So it's like, and the thing is, when I see all these teams, cooking this weekend and competing, that gets me antsy and irritates me. So I go and I say, I'm going to cook chicken today. I'm going to go cook ribs. So it's like, I'm competing with them at the same time on Saturday. So I'm, that's just that's helped me a lot. I guess the mentality of, just kind of, just getting after it, I guess.
I think it was Vince Lombardi, that said, practice doesn't make perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect, or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you hit the nail right on the head there. So as we wind down, one of the things that stuck out earlier on in the show was you talked about wings, right? You talked about how you love doing wings. So I'm curious, if you're cooking wings at the house, can you share the recipe, or a good recipe at home to do wings for our listeners?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. So I'm either, if I want to run the Rec Tech, so I've fallen in love with this whole 0 to 400 thing. And I don't know if you've heard that, but long story short, you put the wings on and you start the grill, put it at 400. And by the time it gets to, 400, you get some smoke in there. But so my whole process, so I like dry brining. So I'll take whatever rub, kind of a low sugar rub. So I've been, my go-to wing rub right now is the Meat Church's Holy Voodoo. So it's kind of like a Cajun, and I just love that. And so I'll try to rub the wings and maybe let them sit for 5, 6, 7 hours. And then what I'll do is I'll take a couple tablespoons of cornstarch and I'll mix that in with the wings. And so I want to get it like a tacky consistency, not like a powder, but I want it tacky. And I know a lot of Chinese restaurants, they fry in cornstarch. So that's kind of that gooiness I'm looking for. And I'll put them on the grill and do that whole 0 to 400 thing. And I'll flip them about 30 minutes in, kind of hit them with some oil spray. And then they're done in about 25 minutes later. So it's almost kind of, it fries in its own fat, I guess, and it gets you a crispy wing. I do the same, and I love that. And actually, I think we ate them just dry with, I'll pour a little butter on them, some extra seasoning and stuff, and just ate them like that. And if we don't feel like doing sauce, and then I'm also a big Weber guy. I love my Weber kettle grills, and so I have I guess a tool called the Vortex. So it's like a volcano shaped cone. So it sits in the middle of your kettle, and you put your coals in there. So it just shoots up a thing of heat, goes over the dome, and it kind of does a radiate. So I'll kind of do the same method, and you put the wings around. So it's like an indirect cook, and you're cooking at like 500 plus degrees. So it's really kind of frying the wings, gets them nice and crispy. So yeah, I'll probably do wings this week. We did them last weekend. We try to do them every weekend. There's just, kids love them. They're about the only thing they'll eat that I make. So which is
Yeah,
funny.
so
But
for our listeners, that was the Meat Church Voodoo Rub,
yeah, holy voodoo.
starch, and you want to
Yeah,
just dry brine them, as Mark said, for like 5 or 6 hours.
yeah. Get
Super,
some
super
seasoning.
simple,
Yep.
and you can get that stuff on meatchurch.com. Super simple.
Oh yeah.
That's what I love about barbecue in general, is that or cooking, you can make it as complex or as simple as you want it to be.
Oh yeah. And I got a quick question for you. So when you're talking about like barbecue being a sport, but since that was your first KCBS competition, right? The other
Mhm.
weekend at Boss. So was that the quickest hour and a half that ever went by for you with turn-ins?
No
Or like,
question.
I mean,
Yes.
it's insane. And it's like, and we've taken a long time to kind of figure out our pork process, because I think building a pork box is what takes a lot of time, but it's nuts. I mean, you're going from, do I do burn ins? If I do burn ins, maybe I'll start that at 12:15. And, there's just, you have to be on your toes, on your schedule, and follow your timelines and stuff. Cause it's crazy. Like how much time goes by. It goes by quick.
And for us, I mean, I literally broke every rule in the book. So we had a new team member who had never cooked a pro comp. It was
Yeah.
my and my brother's first KCBS ever. And on top of it, I was cooking all new proteins to me. I ordered all the meat from Meat Hustler just
Yep.
to try it. And so, yeah, it was like, and to make it even worse, the meat didn't get in until 3 o'clock in the afternoon on
Yeah.
Friday. I had to drive from Waynesboro back to North Augusta to get it and bring it back. So it was just like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. You live and you learn. But yeah, I mean, you're right. You have to be willing to adapt on the fly. And those last 5 or 10 minutes before turn-in is what makes or breaks you.
Yep, absolutely correct. And that's another thing too, I guess, bring it back to, teams getting into it. And like, there's a lot of like online resources of like you said, the guy you can buy your meat from already pre-trimmed. And so there's some things that, that maybe can help you out, or, if you want to go that route. And, but you also you don't need to like, I guess, do what everybody else is doing. Right. So it's like, if you're good at trimming, if you're good at, picking out good meats and, selecting your own meats and stuff, then I say stick with it that way. And then if you start, like, I know, our buddy Lee Hickle, like he traveled like crazy, Texas invasion last year. And I think he used Andy a lot last year. And so it made sense because he's on the East Coast and, chasing and everything. And so he had them ship out his meat. And I think that's awesome. Like, and I know it helped him out a lot and stuff. And so it's pretty cool, like these days, how, technology and just, making things easy for us comp guys.
It does make things easier. And Mark, great conversation. Again, for our listeners, we're chatting with Mark Wetherell, Pitmaster with Maya Jane Barbecue, based out of Evans, Georgia, right across the Savannah River from North Augusta. So thanks for being on the show, Mark. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it.